Imagine living somewhere so remote that the nearest hospital is a 4-hour drive away. No traffic lights, no shopping malls. Sometimes no mobile signal at all. Now imagine that people have not only survived in these conditions for decades, they have built schools, raised families, and run businesses. They have created communities that are in many ways more tightly knit than anything you would find in a major city. That is the reality of life in the Australian Outback. And by the end of this video, you are going to understand exactly how that is possible, because the answer is far more fascinating than you might think. The Australian Outback covers roughly 5.5 million square kilometers. To put that into perspective, that is larger than the entire landmass of India. Yet fewer than 1% of Australia's population lives there. The distances between towns can stretch for hundreds of kilometers. Temperatures regularly exceed 45 degrees Celsius in summer. At night, in certain regions, those same temperatures can drop to near freezing. Dust storms, droughts, and floods are not rare events out here. They are part of the annual rhythm of life. And yet, people stay, they build, they endure. The question is how. One of the most critical pillars keeping outback communities alive is the Royal Flying Doctor Service. Most people simply call it the RFDS. It was founded in 1928, and it operates a fleet of aircraft that functions as a mobile hospital network spread across the country. When someone on a remote station suffers a medical emergency, a heart attack, a serious injury, a difficult birth, a plane is dispatched. Sometimes it reaches the patient within the hour. The RFDS covers over 7 million square kilometers of Australia. It provides care to hundreds of thousands of people every year who would otherwise have no realistic access to emergency medicine. It is one of the largest aeromedical organizations on the planet, and it remains a direct reason why people can realistically choose to live in the outback at all. Then there's the question of education. If you are raising a child 300 kilometers from the nearest school, how do they learn? The answer has been evolving for nearly a century. The School of the Air was first established in 1951 in Alice Springs. It originally used two-way radio to deliver lessons to children living on remote stations. A teacher would broadcast a lesson from a studio. Students scattered across vast distances would listen and respond over the airwaves. Today, those radio systems have largely been replaced by satellite internet and video conferencing. But the core concept remains exactly the same. Children across the outback receive structured schooling and interact with teachers in real time. They maintain contact with peers they may never have met in person. It is a model of distance education that has been studied and admired by countries around the world facing their own rural schooling challenges. Water is another dimension of this story that rarely gets the attention it deserves. Large parts of the outback sit above the Great Artesian Basin. This is one of the largest and deepest freshwater reservoirs anywhere in the world. It stretches across roughly 22% of Australia's total landmass. Bore wells drilled deep into the earth tap into this underground water supply. This makes it possible for cattle stations and townships to maintain water access even through prolonged droughts. Without the Great Artesian Basin, the settlement pattern of the outback would look entirely different. Roads and infrastructure follow an equally creative logic out here. The outback's road network includes long stretches of unsealed dirt roads that become impassable during floods and wash out regularly. Communities have adapted by developing systems of road trains. These are massive articulated trucks that haul enormous quantities of goods in a single trip. They make long-haul delivery economically viable across sparse and punishing distances. Fuel, food, building materials, medical supplies, all of it moves along these routes. Keeping them operational requires constant maintenance and a deep knowledge of seasonal conditions. Satellite technology has transformed outback life in ways that would have been unimaginable just 20 years ago. Residents who once relied on a single crackling radio broadcast for news and communication now have access to internet, video calls, and streaming services. For mental health, something that has historically been a serious challenge in remote communities due to isolation, this connectivity has made a measurable difference. People can maintain relationships, access telehealth services, and stay informed in ways that reduce the psychological weight of remoteness. Community events also play a role that is easy to underestimate. The Outback's social calendar revolves around gatherings, agricultural shows, rodeos, races, and festivals that draw people from enormous distances. The Birdsville races in Queensland, for example, transform a town of roughly 100 permanent residents into a gathering of thousands for a single weekend each year. These events serve a function beyond entertainment. They are economic injections, social reconnections, and morale builders that remind residents they are part of something larger than their own isolated patch of land. Indigenous communities have maintained knowledge systems adapted to this landscape for tens of thousands of years. Many outback towns exist in close proximity to, or are themselves, communities where that knowledge is actively applied today. Land management practices, water finding techniques, and an intimate understanding of seasonal patterns continue to inform how people navigate and sustain life in one of the world's most demanding environments. Mining has also played a defining role in keeping certain outback towns alive and economically viable. Towns like Broken Hill and Mount Isa developed around mineral extraction. That development brought with it hospitals, schools, and infrastructure that would never have existed otherwise. The economic activity generated by mining continues to fund local services and attract workers who create demand for everything from groceries to mechanical services. It is not a romantic story, but it is an honest one. What makes the Outback story genuinely remarkable is not that any single solution exists. It is that survival depends on layering multiple adaptive strategies on top of each other. Flying doctors and satellite schools, underground water and road trains, community events and digital connectivity. No single thread holds it together. The fabric is made of all of them woven at once. People who live in the Outback often describe a relationship with the land that is difficult to articulate to outsiders. The scale of it, the silence, the sense that the environment demands something from you every single day, and in return gives you something that urban life simply does not. A particular kind of clarity, a dependence on neighbors that makes community feel real rather than coincidental. If you found this video interesting and you want to keep learning about the surprising ways human communities adapt and endure in extreme environments around the world, subscribe to this channel right now. There's a lot more where this came from, and you will not want to miss it. Hit that subscribe button, and we will see you in the next one.